Welcome to another BS Friday, everybody. It's snowing here in Connecticut. I don't know what it's doing where you're at, but what's happening, Mark?
Dave, I'm writing a little note. I didn't realize it was snowing by you. How about that?
Yeah, I didn't believe it either. My daughter told me, said yesterday, oh, it's going to snow. And I'm looking, it says 45 degrees for today. And lo and behold, man, it's been snowing since this morning here in Connecticut, but none of it's sticking. So that's the good part.
You know what's sticking, Dave?
25th show already.
Dave Cooper Live, BS Building Science Fridays, 25th episode. Thumbs up, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man. I mean, it's been a journey, huh? We had a 30th episode this past week, 25 on this. I mean, heck, if we had all 6 days a week up, you're the math guy, do the math. That's a lot of shows.
Well, the Monday and Tuesday were your first shows, right?
Yep, that's
and
right.
then Thursday came before Wednesday, am I right?
Yeah.
And then Friday came, and then you had so much energy by the week, you added Saturday.
Yeah.
So if you
My
figure,
medications ran out. That's what happened.
yeah, if we just average it out that they're all at 25, 6 times 25 in math world is somewhere around 150. So
yeah.
150 in 6 months, Dave. 150 shows in a half a year.
I know it. That's a lot of shows, all at an hour length. And that doesn't even include the road shows that we do. Sometimes we do 2-3 shows a day. I don't know. I just think it's so cool. And I think what's really cool about it is just the passion, because you've been doing the shows as well. You have your podcasts and some other shows that you do and all the Passive House stuff. I think, for a lot of people that are watching this, it really truly comes from the heart. Like I love doing this. I love interacting with the audience, and I love having the ability to hopefully make a difference.
That's what it's all about. I mean, it's a dedicated thing. You said forward to everyone right from the get-go, you're going to do this for a year, and a year's a lot of time. So I think it's just beautiful. We've grown a lot of contacts, and we've introduced a lot of people to a lot of manufacturers, right? And it's all on the soapbox of offsite and building science.
I love it. It is offsite and building science. And I have to tell you, Mark, before we say hello to everybody, had a wonderful call today with a gentleman in Pittsburgh who has built a modular home to Passive House standards. So I think it's cool. It's starting to catch on. Other people are doing it. I think he's been doing it longer than me for sure. Not as long as you, though. But we got a lot of great things happening. I think we're inspiring a lot of people. So with that said, my friend, Corbett has not joined us yet, so we're hoping he's going to jump in here. Maybe he's in the snow jam somewhere up here in the Northeast. But if you are just joining us, please hit that like and share button. We are live on 3 locations: LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And if you are not subscribed to our LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook channels, please hit that follow and subscribe buttons. We definitely want to make sure that we don't miss sending you anything. And also that you guys don't miss a show, because not everybody has an hour every day to listen to what I have to say or you have to say, Mark. So it's good to know that they can go back and watch these things.
And people comment all weekend long. Sometimes I shut down technology to have a breath, but then you open it up, and you depending on what you open, right, your email or your social media, you get notes that said, hey, like Sean from 475, I watched 4 episodes of Dave's week so far, this Saturday night, and I didn't get to sleep as a result, but I learned this, and I knew this guy from this,
right?
And it's a consistent way of interacting with our construction community, the way we normally had to wait for trade shows, right? It's a consistent collaborative, and I love to get those notes. Like you, Dave, I have a hard time responding to all of them timely, but we do get back to people, and luckily for us, we get to talk to our friends live.
Yeah,
right?
we do. We
So
do. And the beauty of it is, just looking at the names popping in here, there's a whole lot of communication that happens in the chat and the banner. People are connecting with each other, and business is happening because of it as well. And I think that's really the beauty of it. That means that things are progressing in the right direction, and we're having an impact, or people wouldn't support us the way they've been supporting us. Thumbs up, 2030.
we're 2030 committed. We're thumbs up to everyone that joins us. And we want you to give a thumbs up and watch 150 videos a day on YouTube, my friends.
That's exactly right. All right. So here's the topic of the day. We may still have Corbett Lunsford on. However, Corbett is missing an MIA at the moment. I gotta get
my guess is, Dave, he's getting ready for season 2 to come out of his show. And my guess is, these executives at these networks, they probably needed him for a cameo appearance somewhere. And, we'll get him back on. It's all good.
Absolutely. No, but doesn't mean we can't still talk about all the things that he's doing and prep for the show. I think it's a huge thing. And I also think that being that I went through an inspection myself on our house, because we are moving this morning, and it only lasted two and a half hours, I think, Mark. Like
if Joe Counterpack is out there, what do you think of a 2.5 hour home inspection, Joe?
Yeah, he is. I bet he is out there. I think, I see Joe down there in the list. So that's what we're going to get into today. But first, why don't we play If Cars Were Built Like Houses video, just to warm everybody up, maybe buy a little bit of time for Corbett if he's just running behind. And let's do that. And then we're going to do some quick shout outs and hellos. And then we'll get into this conversation about home inspections. And we're not just talking any home inspections. We are talking about dynamic home inspections and talking about the performance of your house and what really should happen when this takes place.
And Dave, I want to challenge everyone. If you're watching this on a device and you have your phone in front of you, when Dave shows that video, screenshot it and send it to someone, because this video is epic. Buckle your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen, because you're in for a ride.
All right, here we go.
Imagine if cars were built and bought like houses. If cars were built like houses, each one would be built outdoors, exposed, in the middle of a muddy field. If cars were built like houses, each car would be slightly different than all others and would be built under different laws, depending on where in the country the muddy field was located. Each part of the car would be put together and installed by a different company with different workers guided by different supervisors on different semi-dependable schedules if cars were built like houses. Sometimes in the rush to finish the car, the battery or steering wheel wouldn't arrive in time, so we just put it on the punch list and get to it later. If cars were bought like houses, no part of the car would be tested by anyone except the buyer, who just makes sure the paint looks nice and the seats feel good. If cars were bought like houses, car shoppers would never drive the car before they bought it, and no one would ask about the mileage per gallon since no manufacturer ever bothered to measure it. Also, I forgot to mention that these cars would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, the biggest thing you'll ever buy. If you hate this story, then next time you shop for a home, look for home performance testing and quality control checklists. Proof is possible. Ask for it.
You were muted and I was muted, Mark. Go for it.
I'm dying over here, Dave. I've watched this movie hundreds of times for I don't know, 10, 15 years, however long it's been around. And my statistics are off, but that doesn't matter. The point is, I love it, right? It's what we always talk about. And, you know, we're in a muddy field from different manufacturers, like everything. How many T-shirt taglines, Jennifer,
yeah, right?
Can you find in that? If
I love the crane lifting it and dropping it in the mud.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention, this would be the biggest purchase of your life, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, listen, I mean, it's such a true analogy, isn't it? Is it not? I mean, listen, there's a lot more moving pieces or more selections when you're building a house for most people, but it's the same concept though. It doesn't have to be built the way we've been building them.
I think Joel Hutchins is out there and he's saying, I've been telling you all this. Let's get it all together, right? Building systems, people, right?
That's it. That's it. Why don't we say hi to a few people, Mark? And then let's jump into this topic about home inspections. And we want to know what you think about home inspections. We want to know if is it an up-to-date process, or can we bring building science to the home inspectors so when they are doing their home inspections, they are certified to make sure that what you are buying has good health benefits to it? Because that's the main thing here. All right.
Absolutely. Let's say hi to our friends.
Shane McNutt from Nudo. What's happening, Shane? Always good to see you, my friend. Hope all is well. John Jaworski, what's happening, John? Congratulations. 25 episodes. Amazing, right? Dave Cooper, 25th. That's the Dave Cooper, Mark Bare Naked Willie 25th. We got good old Andrew Sealy. It's BS Friday. Hello, all. Stoked for this one. Happy 25th. Super well done, you champions. Love it. Oh, we got everybody joining in. Scott Fartman, what's happening, man? Happy Friday and greetings from Chicago. Been waiting for this episode all week. Well, we're still going to bring you something, even if it doesn't kick off.
Dave, you remember when Scott was on? He was telling us that he had bought a house and they were dealing with some interesting things. And then when Allison was on, Scott was commenting to her about the same thing. So this conversation is not new with any of us.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. I agree. All right, keep moving here. Bill's phone. Hey, thanks, Dave. Who did I speak to this morning about modular buildings in Pittsburgh? So Bill will be coming on the show, Mark Bare Naked Willie.
We are looking forward to that one, Bill. You have a great reputation out there, and I don't know when you're going to be on Dave Cooper Live, but I will be in the audience, and I will be asking questions.
Love it. Love it. Who let this guy in the door? Jay McStay, what's happening, Shane? Shane's been tuning in lately. You know, it's fun. I like talking with Shane. I like having conversation. You know, the guy has his own podcast. He also works with Etienne, you know, at Sega. So really smart guy right there. He's doing a lot for the industry.
And we were blessed by having him on as a presenter several weeks back.
Absolutely. Joe Kanaka. I can never say Joe's name. Counterpack.
Joe has like 45 brothers and sisters. So I know his last name is Counterpack. And Joe, you could chime in with all the questions today. You could be our virtual Corbett.
Our virtual Corbett. All right. So this one is Scott Hatfield. It's not showing up. The American Chemical Society did a green building webinar recently. They did acknowledge a bit of disconnect. Architects are seen in the hard sciences as being concerned with aesthetics in an artistic flowing manner.
I'm not sure who sent that, but if you could please give everyone a hyperlink to that webinar. I think all of us would be interested in seeing their take on it.
Yeah, for sure. Michael Hobbs, go Joe. Hey Joe, you got a fan base, man. Look at this. All right. Joe's getting the award for the most shout outs by everybody on this. We should have awards for whoever gets the most call outs on a show, right? I mean, my goodness.
Well, there's a well, oh God, so diplomatic, Joe. So the thing is, Dave, you know, Joe does not only home inspection, and we had him on in one of our earlier episodes, but he's also a BPI trainer, which is, you know, a different level. And I believe he has the ResNet behind him as well. And then Michael Hobbs, of course, knows him because Michael Hobbs is one of the few green appraisers out there, and he will be coming on BS Fridays very soon.
Love it. How soon? Perfect. All right. So Joe, there you go. Scott Fartman. Joe Kappanek is the only one I trust inspecting my home. Joe, make sure you put in there where you're located. This may be an opportunity. Mark only takes 5% of everything you do. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I get paid in 12 ounces.
All right. Joe. All right. Katie Kaluzny, even Scott Fartman, same here. What's happening, Katie? Katie, if you're out there, I'll bring you in today. Jump on. We miss you. All right. LinkedIn user. I'm not sure who this is. Is this about physics, biology, and chemistry? It doesn't look like it. I'll let you answer that one, Mark.
So we're hoping Corbett joins because his specific take on physics, biology, and chemistry is unique to our industry. Yeah. He is an experienced professional with very exceptional presentation skills on his topics. So the thunder on how he delivers physics, biology, and chemistry will be saved for when it comes from Corbett himself. And whoever you are, Mr. or Mrs. LinkedIn user, I would happy to be able to connect you with Corbett and chat about it further and remind you when he comes back on the show or if he pops in today.
Yeah, so it's Scott Hatfield, environmental services professional. It shows up on LinkedIn. It just doesn't carry out to the software we're using. But yeah, listen, everybody, if you are joining in to hear from Corbett today, unfortunately, at this point, he's not able to join us. So change of plans. It happens to all of us. So we're going to carry on with this conversation in our own way. And believe you me, we have the ability to do so, because I would imagine with everybody in the audience chiming in today, Mark, we have a pretty smart panel of people to have this discussion with.
Yeah. And for Scott, this might have been the first time you've seen our 25 shows, and we're getting going here. It is part of our show format to bring in the audience and let them give comment and let them give question. So this is very normal for us. And that's how your question arrived on the screen, that we are live. We are unedited.
Yeah, for sure. And with that as well, just because we want to make sure everybody comes here and gets what's expected. And this doesn't happen very often, every once in a while. So with that said, hopefully you keep tuning back in. And Scott, I mean, based on what I'm seeing here, you probably have a lot to say, so we welcome you to the community and join the conversation, man.
Yeah. If Joe Counterpack is out there, I could send you the StreamYard link, Joe. You're welcome to jump on.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, right. He's an inspector. Let's do it.
You keep talking
more shout out. So this is the link that Scott just put up for that webinar technology that they did. Perfect. I was thinking with Halloween tomorrow, I almost went to my other camera with some Halloween looks today.
Since we're a little bit off subject for right now, I will say that Carbon Free Chicago is having an all ages Halloween dance party tomorrow night at 6 p.m. You just type in on LinkedIn there or on Facebook, Carbon Free Chicago, and you can get the invite and join us for the dance party, all ages.
What do you dance? So how does that work?
So we had it for, you probably remember, Dave, we had it for the summer solstice, and we have 3 DJs, and they are exceptional DJs, and everyone's cameras are set to Zoom. And I tell you what, these kids, they dance their little butts off. A lot of people have big bonfires in their yards. Some people are professional fire throwers. And so we keep changing the screens so everyone could celebrate safely with their masks on.
Right. I think it's super cool. The learning how to throw fire. That's where do you go to school to learn how to juggle fire?
I know in Chicago, it's around Montrose Beach. It's for every full moon. And there's, we've done it for, I don't know, 10, 12 years. There's 1,000 people out there. It's now actually legal and part of the city format, but brilliant. So I guess we got to dial back. Do we have any more people to say hi to?
George Ryman just joined us.
George, is it hot in Arizona?
It's not hot here, man. It's snowing here. Definitely. And Joe said, our team at Insight Property Services can advise folks about homes in the greater Chicagoland area when selling and buying, building new or improving existing homes. Thanks, guys.
I just sent Joe an email with a link, by the way.
Yeah. We'll bring Joe on. Outside of that, we got some banner. Like I said, Scott put up his thing. Scott also said that, let's see, what am I seeing? I think the ACS will do more on the subject. So, all right, cool. Let's see what else we got here. Scott Fartman, Joe Kappanek does a great job scaring selling real estate agents when he comes into the home inspection with IR cameras, airflow testing equipment, and other nerdy tools. I love it.
Yeah. So, it's funny. There's limitations what you can and what cannot do as a home inspector. But when you have the other certifications, like someone like Corbett or someone like Joe or Lindsay or different friends who have been on the show, they're seeing behind the wall. And those are things that home inspectors can't do. But the interesting thing about Joe's, because I've been to many of his meetings, is most of the home inspectors of their association have now taken on and gotten those additional certifications, or they change, part of the work, they do it as a collaborative so that the people buying and selling their buildings truly have the know-how and the experience of the right people with the right tools and the right evaluation procedures. So it's really a collective. It's interesting to see that in their group, because of course that's what we find in our building science construction side, but to have that for the third party folks, it's exceptional. And I don't know if that I don't know if that exists in other cities, but I do know as a call out to Joe that he's brought that to our market, and we all benefit as a result. Right.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into this, Mark. Let's and hopefully, Joe, if you can jump in with us today, take that link and come on in. But let's jump into what this is all about. Let's talk about what Corbett's been up to in the world, and I think let's dive into how important home inspections are and how they need to change, because this is a lot about change.
Right. So, as the foundation, you just had a home inspection today, and people, I believe everyone attending today understands that the reason for that is an evaluation. It's a thorough checklist of what we know about the current conditions of the structure, how it's performing, how it's not performing, signs of what has happened, or evidence of what might happen soon. Right. And these are all documented. So if people need to get litigic, they can. If they need to have things addressed so that the sale can be approved, it's all there on the table. There's funny anecdotes of things that have happened with these inspections. So oftentimes you have to turn the combustions off to do various testings. Well, then you get in these elaborate conversations with the agents and the homeowners if they happen to be there, and then maybe those appliances aren't turned back on.
Right.
So the building starts heating up or cooling, whatever it might be.
Well, we got Joe popped in here. You want me to bring him in to join this conversation?
Bring Joe in.
Hey guys,
what's happening, Joe? How are you, man?
Can you see me all right? Hear me?
Yeah. Yep, we can see you and hear you. Hey, thanks for the quick jump in on this one, right?
Say again?
I said thanks for the quick jump in.
Oh yeah, no worries.
So Joe, I was about to share a story of things that can go sideways in a testing situation, and I believe one of them happened in a fireplace. Right. Not with your crew, but I believe we know the person, and they were doing a blower door test. They were depressurizing the home, and the fireplace doors were not closed, Dave. So when you depressurize a home, there's 50 pascals of air rushing out of your house, right?
Oh, you're getting all sciencey with the pascals, Mark.
Yeah.
them are big words, Mark.
So the military does it at 75 pascals, but we don't.
Oh, they have it. They have it to do 75.
Right. So Dave, with that much rushing out, imagine what happened with the fireplace,
Yeah.
right?
They didn't have a fire going in there, did they?
They did not have a fire.
Okay. Yeah. No. The ash likes to dance all over the airstream. So yeah, you got to close the damper. It's better if there's no ash. It's really better if there's no ash. But if there's ash, you got to make sure it's covered, and that the damper's closed. It actually happened to us once.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, I was sitting. It was right behind my back. I saw like little dust flaking over my head. I thought maybe something was coming through the can lights as we were doing the blower door. And then I look over my shoulder and I see the butterfly damper had popped open and kicked up ash. And we were able to, the homeowner was actually in the shower at the time. We were able to find a vacuum up all the ash, and we got it all cleaned up just as she was coming down. And she's like, "Oh, you guys, you're vacuuming my house? Do you do windows too?" And I'm like, "No, we just clean up our own mess before anybody notices."
Yeah, it's how it goes. Wow. I'm glad it only happened once, and that's a lesson for everyone else. But
Right.
before you popped on, Joe, I don't know if you heard, we were also giving accolades to the fact that a lot of home inspectors later on get other certifications, right, in the world of building performance, in the world of ResNet. And I imagine there's some that I don't even know about, Joe.
It's kind of strange. I mean, a lot of the guys in the home inspection industry tend to be former contractors, right? Their knees start to go. They've got a lot of knowledge, but they just can't deal with the physical strain of humping equipment around and tools and materials. So they go into the home inspection business. Some of them kind of tend to be a rather conservative lot, but there are a good handful of them that always want to know more, and that's the thing that I like, are the guys that are always going, sure, I might not do the inspection to this level because you're inspecting to the Illinois state standards of practice. That being said, a lot of guys want to know the why, and they want to know more. For an inspector, we're obligated to look at a couple hundred things in a home in a few hours, right, to the standards of a pre-purchase home inspection. But there's still a lot of guys that want to know why,
Right.
Why is this wrong, or how, but I mean, I'm not going to do a full furnace diagnostic there. I just, I'll make a note that, hey, it's over temperature or it's shutting off on high limit. And when they go, why, you just go, well, I may know why, but it may not apply to your particular circumstance. So I go, you know what, it doesn't matter. It's beyond what I'm doing here. I still got about 175 things to look at. So, but because it's a critical system not working properly, we're justified in having asking for an HVAC technician to come out and do a full service on it and address the issue. So there's this weird little line of, even though we may know more, we can test more. For a pre-purchase home inspection, you're only going to a kind of a certain degree. And I'll be honest, when I learned about the home performance testing, I started to integrate a number of those things into the pre-purchase home inspection. But it does start to fuzz the line a little bit. And so you have to communicate very clearly with your homeowner and saying, hey, this may be an opportunity for improvement, but according to the standards of a pre-purchase home inspection, this is not considered a deficiency, right? It's just, that was how it was built in the 1970s. Nobody's improved it yet. It's on your plate, for an opportunity for improvement.
Right. If you're hired for the home inspection, you have to respect those standards that apply there. But then if they're looking for further insight, you happen to have the skill set and the tools. You might not be able to do it at that very moment because you're, backlogged with all your meetings, but they could certainly have further investigation done for that, and all the way down to an IAQ, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, air quality testing is appropriate. For pre-purchase home inspections, if for no other reason than for people to simply pull the ripcord and say, I'm out of here. My mother's living with us. She's got COPD. And, when we saw the results of the air quality test, we honestly don't want to, some people just go, I don't want to manage the correction of this. I'm going to go find a house that doesn't have these things for me to deal with right off the bat. Radon, well, that can be tested and corrected for. That's relatively straightforward. So there's a lot of, depending on what a person's concerns are, there's a lot of things that can be done during a pre-purchase home inspection. But as far as performance testing of homes, like blower door testing of homes, any existing home it's not going to meet, generally meet today's new home standards. It wasn't built today. It was built 20 years ago.
Right.
If it passes today's standards, it's kind of a fluke, or because somebody had done some work and just didn't document it to let people know.
I like what you said there on radon, and Dave, it's funny that Joe's on today, because it was Joe that taught me another way of saying radon is a subslab depressurization loop. And it's brilliant because that's what it's doing. But if done correctly, it's also a chance for mitigation of radon.
In the house, yeah, sure. Whether it's mechanical or passively vented, right?
Yeah, I think most people that I know, they set it up passive, but they have the they have the intent with the electric already there in case it needs to be beefed up to the mechanical side. It's just a question of where do you put that, because if it's not put in the right place, it's not going to be effective.
Yeah, for sure. So, Joe, let's take a step back. What are the requirements? I know in Illinois and every state may be a little bit different, but if I'm hearing you correctly, there's just a general requirement to be an inspector, and then it's up to the individual if they want to take it to another certification or another level. Is that correct?
Yeah, different states have different requirements. So I can't speak to all the different states. I know in Illinois, you're required to do 60 hours of training and 5 ride-alongs or field experiences, and then you have to pass the state exam. That's kind of the minimum. That inspector law is actually up for review, and so those things are going to change here in Illinois, possibly. Probably not less stringent, probably more, but it's anybody's guess. And as far, so that's kind of the minimum required. Most other, certifications are, again, those are elective. And there's a lot of guys out there that do want to know more. I mean, that's part of the reason why I recommend, if somebody says, oh, I'm buying a house, but it's not in Chicago. I said, that's fine. But look for somebody that is a member of, say, the American Society of Home Inspectors, or International National Association of Certified Home Inspectors. Anybody who joins a professional organization like that is effectively saying, I want an easy path to learn more about my profession and to interact with my colleagues who do the same thing that I do.
Yeah.
Effectively saying, I'm not perfect. There's always stuff to learn, and I want to learn from other people's mistakes, and I want to share my mistakes with other people, because they have an understanding of what I'm going through. If somebody is not joining those organizations, in my experience, they know enough. They don't need to know anymore. And I try to stay away from people who know everything, because you can't teach them anything, right? So I like even, you can come across some of the most knowledgeable people in the world, and if they're still open-minded enough to keep learning, those are the guys I want to know. I mean, I know a lot, but I sure as heck don't know everything, Right. And I'm always asking, telling people, like, there's sometimes I get, put over my skis, and I have to call some of my friends that know more than me on, in certain areas. And so I think having somebody with a good dose of humility and joining professional organizations like that is effectively telling the world, I'm continuing to learn, I'm continuing to grow, and I'm going to bring that knowledge to your home inspection.
So this is what your network's about, right? And it's a microcosmos of what we're doing here. It is saying, I found this, I'm trying to figure out this, who can I connect with? And I think you phrased it, Joe, sometimes I'm a little bit over my skis. That's another t-shirt, Jennifer. But it's truly, these are people passionate about exploring more of what they could learn to help their clients, to help their community, to help our buildings. So this sharing environment, I hope that folks that are listening today apply that in their own community of architect, engineer, and contractor and building owner, property managers alike. It's brilliant, and it was very well said, Joe.
Yeah, very much so. All right, so let me, being that I just went through this, right? Joe, why don't you walk us through what you do differently than what regular home inspectors would do? You know, like so I have a 70s. I've upgraded, with my own house and tried to air seal where I could possibly air seal, and I've been through a lot of caulking, let's say, trying to tighten it up. But what is it that you're going to do differently than what the inspector for this people that are buying my house possibly did today?
Well, that's hard to say. I mean, there's what I do can also be done by a bunch of guys. We've heard a bunch of other inspectors do many of the things that we do. Simple things like measuring the temperature of the air going into the furnace and out of the furnace, into the AC, out of the AC. It's you need a couple holes, you need a couple thermometers, and the furnace makes hot air, makes cold air. If it's too hot or if it's not hot enough, too cold, not cold enough, the system's not working right. And I'm surprised how often I go into homes and there's no holes in the ductwork for the service techs to set thermometers or to measure static pressure. And so when people look at me sideways and they're like, why are you drilling holes in my ductwork? Because I'm not supposed to be drilling holes in ductwork, but I do. And I tell them, like, well, I was looking for your HVAC contractor's holes and I didn't see them. So I'm not sure what he's doing when he's servicing your furnace, but if you're not measuring the temperature of the air going in and the temperature of the air going out, how do you know the furnace is working properly? And sometimes it's as simple as that, but and I know home inspectors just cringe when they go like, you're drilling holes in ductwork. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not supposed to be doing that. It's not supposed to be an invasive inspection. I'm supposed to be cutting holes into stuff, but it's a small hole and I put a piece of tape over it. And I tell the homeowner, because every once in a while they come down just worked up, like, what are you poking holes in my ductwork? You don't own this house. You're here. You've been invited into my house that your client does not yet own. So what are you doing to my stuff? And so I have to be very, politic in how I explain, like, I just want to make sure the system is working for my client. I was looking for the holes that your service tech would have used. I couldn't find them. So I made a set of holes. You can ask him, and he can use my holes, when he comes to service this furnace properly.
I mean, is it code for a mechanical contractor to have testing holes throughout their ductwork? I mean, it's not code.
No, there's no. The code says that a system is supposed to be installed to manufacturer specifications. Right. That's what the code is. In many cases, it's just
minimum.
You have to do it the way the manufacturer says. You're not free to modify it beyond what the manufacturer says is an acceptable installation of that equipment or that product or whatever. Right.
It's not building code, but it's code of conduct. If you're putting in an appliance that are tempering a space, right, be it hot, be it cold, or be it delivering air, if you're not checking, you don't know what it's doing. So you really can't report back to the manufacturer that your manual D and your duct runs were even accurate for what the mechanical system was supposed to be attached to. So that's why in a lot of our building science projects, right, there is commissioning, right? That is a checklist item. There's a commissioning agent that's going through and that's doing it. Typically, the mechanical person that is servicing the equipment will have those portholes. And so Joe's commenting that he didn't find them, but he wants to measure results, so he made his own. So I can picture people in the audience walking to their mechanical room and looking, where's that shiny silver tape, not duct tape, actual silver tape.
Metal tape.
And
Joe's been here.
Yeah, there should be a little thing. It's just, it's real small. You could get a tube in there and you could check it. So
I'm going to ask the obvious question now. I have holes coming out all over the place in my house. Why can't you just check where the holes already are, where the air comes out of? Isn't that the obvious question somebody would say to you?
Yeah. So and very often that's what we do. If there's already a hole there, you're just going to use the existing holes. But I want to put a thermometer where the airstream is coming off the top of the coil or the heat exchanger. I want to have another thermometer in the return. So I know what the air temperature is coming in across the filter, right? So here's one of the things we notice in the summertime is the thermostat in the house will say it's 73 degrees. And so a lot of guys, for the temperature drop, they'll go, oh, I got 63 coming out, I got 73 going in, it's only a 10-degree drop. And you go, hold on a second. The room is 73. When I put a thermometer in the ductwork, it's actually going up to 83. Somehow we're gaining 10 degrees of temperature from between the living room and the air that's going into the, across the filter. We picked up 10 degrees. There's an indication that your ducts are sucking hot air from the attic.
Right.
And the difference from 83 to 63 is 20 degrees. So you do have a good temp drop as long as you measure properly. And I've had a lot of HVAC contractors that presume that the return air temperature is what the thermostat says. That's not what the return air temperature is, what's coming across that filter, And so we can effectively, tell a homeowner, it's not the AC that's the problem, it's the leaky ductwork that's picking up heat from the attic, So measuring the temperature going in and out of the furnace is one of those simple things that I tell you, we catch more stuff with that. And for our clients, it's a critical system. It's not working as intended. And we're therefore justified in requesting that a certified technician or experienced technician come in and do a full evaluation and repairs necessary, because you can just say, hey, I want you to, clean and check this furnace before I buy the house. They're going to go, forget it. It works fine, But if you can prove that it's not working properly, if an error code is popping up on it, or if the temps are out of spec, then you can effectively justify, the request of somebody coming out to fix it. So, and that's, for our clients, when they're buying a house, we're trying to reduce the risk of buying, that home, but we can't eliminate it. And we're just trying to figure out as many angles as possible to identify the, issues that are going to cost people some money once they buy the house.
Joe, what's that cool machine that we put on the duct itself? Is that a velometer?
Oh, are you talking about for airflows come out of registers and returns?
Right. Yeah,
a velometer is for measuring airflows. We don't do that. If you'd fail just about every house. Measuring static pressure in system. Right. I mean, ducts are designed so poorly in residential homes that if you started, looking at it with a fine-tooth comb, you'd find deficiencies in every house. Nobody does a manual duct design for residential construction. It has been slapdash since the freaking 1970s. Last
Tim Heppner and Brian Raisky and Lindsay Elton will argue with you there, brother.
In most residential homes, things got really, in the 1970s when there was a lot of, before real estate crashed, because of the oil embargo and such. I mean, the systems just got sloppier and sloppier. Right. The most beautifully designed, smooth airflow systems that I've seen were like back in the 1950s, when ducts would just kind of 4 inches would peel off the side and it would progressively narrow up, and you'd have dampers on every takeoff, and they would have a summer setting and a winter setting because they actually went through and balanced the system. They didn't do duct sealing, but short of that, they had really, really well designed systems.
Those were good tin knockers back then too, right?
Some of them are works of art. They not only work well, but they look good. And now everything is freaking boxes and tubes, rectangle ducts with round tubes coming off of them. And if they didn't leak as bad as they do, they might actually work okay. But we're trying to raise the game for HVAC design, and it's coming along. Code changes have required, so we're seeing better systems in new homes. It's the homes that were built between like the late 60s and the 2010, something like that. The systems there just kind of got sloppy.
So we're only talking about a 50-year period of systems, right? You just said 60s and 2010.
Yeah, it's only 50 years.
Yeah, well, you know what though? It's like anything else. You only know what you know. Cars didn't run on batteries then either.
That's right.
So, it makes sense, but you only know what you know, and it takes a while for the science to come out behind all of these things. So why don't we say hi to some people in the audience? What do you guys think?
I'm ready.
So we missed George Stahowski. Hey, gotta go. Keep up the great work, Dave and Mark. Thank you so much for joining. Bill says, leave your keys on top of the water heater to remember to turn things back on. All right. Kyle Norris, first show for me. I hope to hear about the hot, humid South. So, Kyle, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you tuning in today. Why don't we give Kyle a little bit of that knowledge?
And if you want to hear about the hot, humid South, you could talk to George Ryman because he knows all about it.
He does.
No, actually, he knows about the hot. It's not humid in Arizona.
It is hot though, 85 degrees. He said.
Yeah, I don't know much about the South. I know climate zone and the swings, the multiple climate zones that hit in the Midwest. I don't know the South. If you have a specific question, please let us have it.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's like anything else, especially if it's humid. I think the biggest thing that we've learned on this show, and this is my uneducated 2 cents here, is you have to control that humidity because that moisture is bad for inside of the house. And I think the most important thing, if I'm giving any advice without the education other than the show, is that I would really pay attention to that humidity as one of the first steps in controlling what that airflow is. Yeah.
Well, your bulk water is first, but then the moisture, vapor, in all of its forms, you have to have a plan. So, what is the strategy of the building?
Yeah.
And what went sideways? And then, is your building at the status where it is sealed tight? So now you need to take care of it with an ERV or an HRV, and those devices will also assist with your humidity levels because they're typically designed. Well, they assist, right? You might need it's moving the air, but you may in fact need a dehumidification unit separate from your mechanical system that's taking care of the cooling.
Yeah.
Separate.
Those whole home dehumidifier ventilate whole house ventilating dehumidifiers. So they're taking in outside air, they dehumidify it, brings that fresh air into the house, puts the house under slightly positive pressure so that the outside humidity is not creeping into the house. I mean, a house in the southern part of the United States is generally trying to keep humidity out and keep cool, dry in. But that humidity is always going to be trying to work its way into the cold, dry. Your house effectively in the South is like a refrigerator, and if you keep if you crack your refrigerator open just a little bit, you get all kinds of condensation and frost inside your house, and it's not much different, or inside the fridge, and it's not much different with a house. And that's why, homes, as soon as they started air conditioning homes in the South, that's when, the mold issues started really kicking up. It's because you're creating cold condensing surfaces for that hot humidity outside. So air sealing is super important. And then proper fresh air exchange with dehumidification. So the ventilating whole house dehumidifier. You had a guest on from Ultra Air.
Nikki Kruger. For those out there,
great presentation. Great. I saw her in February, and we had a couple of issues this past summer that needed exactly the piece of equipment that they were selling there. So it's
yeah. Kyle, you can probably find that, Jen, if you're listening, maybe put the link into Nikki's interview, because you're absolutely right, from Thermistor. I think, Nikki, definitely, if you're not connected with Nikki on LinkedIn, you got a question, she's definitely the one to ask. And you're right, we talked a lot about humidity and controlling that humidity and everything. So that's a good show. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, good plug for Nikki. She's a rock star, and long ago, one of the early shows was Alexandre de Gagne, and his system, Minotaur, is not only the heating and cooling and ERV, HRV, but they do have the dehumidification and humidification, I think, involved.
I don't know about the humidification, and and those systems are great for multi-unit buildings where you've got kind of smaller dwelling units. That's what his system was dialed in for.
It's 1,000 square feet ish, and then when you have additional square footage, then you would plug and play with like a mini split system from our friend Mike Schaefer at Mitsubishi.
Yeah. But they have that's a really nice package system where you're heating, cooling, ventilating, dehumidifying, which is what you need for all those individual dwelling units in a multi-family building.
Yeah, and this might be a good future topic as well. We should look into it, Mark. Right, like talk about some of the differences in the climate zone. So I think the principles are for the most part the same.
Yeah, Yeah, it's very different, and know your buildings, right? That's why we do these tests, from building inspector to commissioning agents to third party experts. And
Yeah.
let you know what's going on.
Yeah. And Kyle, thanks, man, thanks for subscribing to our YouTube channel as well. If you want to find that, just go to the playlist on the YouTube channel under Building Science is the playlist, and it's maybe 3 episodes ago, not that far. 2.
Yeah,
3?
Nikki was pretty recent. I think she was right before. She was in between Brett and April and Scott.
Yeah.
Now,
All right, here's a question.
That's a test, Dave. Do I have my order down?
That was a test. Well, we are on 20. Hey, so we're not going to get into that right now, but you did say that you could name every episode in order. So you better start practicing that. I'm going to put you on the spot one of these shows, and I'm going to have them all down so I can put them up there. X's and O's, buddy.
X's and O's. I don't know what X's and O's are, Dave, but I do know people's names.
Got it. All right, Scott Fartman. To Joe or Mark, why are residential HVAC subcontractors so notoriously bad at installing proper return ducts and getting an acceptable static pressure per the manufacturer's literature? Who wants to tackle that?
So it's interesting. And Joe is, Scott is an accomplished engineer and an architect. So if the manufacturer requires this size of duct, and it's also the connection of who the builder and contractor is, right? Who the architect is and who the HVAC person is, because perhaps they weren't given the proper space or pathway to do their ducts. That's a potential, right? It could be a collaborative team failure. If all the engineering was done, and if there was a manual D run, and if the return was sized accordingly to the volume of the space and in line with the manufacturer, that's one thing. But perhaps the contractor likes one brand, the architect likes another, the consumer's budget is another, and the space that allows this to fit in is another. With all those points together, there's a recipe for ineffective solutions, right? So that's why, Joe, oftentimes the HVAC person is given it the drawings from the contractor who got them on a Tuesday, and the bid is due on a Friday for a project that was in the drawing phase for 9 months, right? That's not even enough time to get an answer from a supply house, let alone verify the space, right? The chase that's needed and the room from the mechanical closet to accept that return in there. So a lot of people, as a result, Scott, go for mini splits, because then with the DOE process and all that, you don't have to have someone do duct testing because there's no ducts.
Yeah.
So
let me chime in quick. I gotta dip out for a 1 o'clock meeting. Specifically speaking to the return issue, their returns historically were run through wall cavities, floor cavities, stud cavities. And what I heard from HVAC guys, and the returns are almost always like 70% the size of the supply plenum, which makes no sense. If the supply plenum is so many square inches, you'd think that the return should be the exact same, considering it has to return the same amount that it supplies. But historically, it's about 70% undersized. And they said, well, the returns leak because they're using. So they knew that the floors and walls and everything would leak. I said, yeah, but you eventually constrain it down to ductwork that attaches to the side of the furnace, and that ductwork is undersized, and that's why you'd have tin canning of the ductwork. Oh, my returns make noise, and then they would just stiffen them and put struts on them and that kind of thing. Like, what they need to do is make that ductwork so many inches bigger so that it's not trying to tin can the ductwork. So again, it all comes down to the design and stuff, and then there are serious pricing considerations with the builders trying to minimize their build cost, squeezing the contractors, finding who's going to do it for cheapest, and they figure it needs to be good enough to get somebody in the place. And then if they have issues, 3 years down the line, it's the homeowner's problem. And unfortunately, there's a lot of that going on in the business. And when you go with somebody like an Energy Star home, you know that there's a third party, rater going through there, and you I mean, there's still issues that will creep up, but many, many, many less. So anyway, thanks guys. I got to dip out for another meeting, and I appreciate you joining or inviting me on the fly.
Hey,
right.
Thanks for joining us, Joe. We'll see you. Bye
Thanks,
now.
brother.
So here, we're going to wrap this up as well, Mark. It's been an hour, but here's the deal, right? With an aging workforce, with the tin knockers, like plumbers in their 50s, most of them don't have the desire to go back to school. They want to retire and get out. And a lot of this work is being done by an older workforce that maybe has not gone to that next level of education. They're using what they used when they went through their apprenticeship program 30, 40 years ago, just like we were talking about the houses then. I mean, I think this is, to me, makes sense that this is probably part of that problem.
Yeah. And our furnaces have changed. There's been, all these building systems and building appliances and whatnot. They've advanced. We got to count on our trades, but we also need to give our trades the time and the trainings and the support that they need, because it's not run and gun. Efficiency is only effective when given enough time to do so. So I'm happy for Joe to come on. I know we didn't go through all of our banners today, and that's what happens live. I think you were wonderful, Dave. And is there any of our friends out there that we need to say hello to?
I think we've kind of gotten. Let me just go look in the like bar and we'll run down through them. We got Jenny Melman out there today. Hey, Jenny, thank you for joining us. Brett Little is out there today. Thank you for joining us, Brett. Me and my mass email response to everybody. I'm surprised we didn't have 100 people jump on the show today.
I would say, Brett, thanks for sending your questions too. And to all of our friends that are out there, we will certainly add Corbett's name in the comments. Susan's coming on in a few weeks. Hi, Susan.
Hey, Susan. Nice. Thanks.
So she's up in Toronto, Dave, and you're going to love her. And I would say, again, Corbett has season 2 coming up in February. So we do have planned for a kickoff for him, right. But we have some flexibility in our schedule. And if he could pop back on, we do want all of our friends to be able to hear about the physics, biology, and chemistry that he was going to share with you today. So he is our friend. That's why he was invited. And, life happens. So we'll have him back on. And thanks for everyone for having the dexterity to listen to Mark and Dave.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Really appreciate having you on today. And we will get Corbett on and we will make it an awesome show to make up. But I think we had an awesome show anyhow. So that's it, Mark. Thank you.
Much respect to Joe Counterpack. Dave, way to go on your home inspection. And to everyone out there, please remember on Monday, Dave has a guest.
Ooh, I do have a guest. Thank you very much. Yes, we will have the immediate past chairman of the NAHB on. He's actually still the chairman, but they haven't changed his title yet. Greg Ugaldi will be giving us updates, not only on IBS, workforce, all kinds of stuff happening, with IBS as well, going virtual now. It's not in person. There's going to be all kinds of new ways to see and tour things, because they still build these American show homes down there. There's still people that have done all this work to showcase their product in their house, and suppliers have put in the time and the money and the effort. So hopefully we're going to find a way to bring that to everybody live. So we're working on that. And yeah, man, listen, virtual is the way we are going, and this is the place to be, right, Mark?
Yeah, the format is there. Greg's an amazing guy. I know you and Greg help each other a lot, and the work that you do, Dave, allows for these trade shows to be virtual daily, right? Because the content that is happening daily, and we don't want to wait. We don't want to wait for once a year get together. We want it all the time. So Dave Cooper Live, YouTube is the place to be. And Joe Counterpack, bless your heart for today. And to everyone else, I hope to join you for the dance party.
That's right.
Carbon Free Chicago. We'll add that in the comments. And you have a blessed weekend, brother.
You too, man. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye now.